All right, so get this. We're diving into Malaysia's master plan for a sustainable future, and it's got a twist. You won't see this coming. We're talking like clean energy, economic prosperity, social justice, the whole dream, right? And it's all laid out in not one but two ambitious roadmaps. But here's the real kicker, okay? They're aiming for this green revolution with a hefty dose of natural gas. Yep, you heard that right. Today, we're going to figure out why Malaysia's betting on this unexpected energy source for their future.
Hmm. It's an intriguing approach, it's true. While the world is racing towards renewables, Malaysia seems to be acknowledging that. The path to sustainability isn't always a straight line.
Right. It's like you're saying, we see your solar panels and wind farms, everyone, but hold on, we've got a different kind of strategy brewing. So let's break down exactly what we're dealing with here. We've got these two key documents, right? The National Energy Transition Roadmap, or NETR, which is hyper-focused on, well, energy, obviously. And then there's the SDG roadmap for Malaysia, phase two. This one's tackling the UN's Sustainable Development Goals. Think of it like the ultimate to-do list for a better world.
And what's crucial here is how these two roadmaps they intertwine. It's not just about going green, it's about ensuring that transformation benefits everyone and touches every aspect of Malaysian life.
Totally.
Yeah.
Every aspect. But let's get back to this natural gas thing, right? Because it really jumped out at me. I mean, it's 2050. We're in a future powered by clean energy. And Malaysia is still looking at natural gas as a key player. What's the logic there?
Well, to understand that, we need to dig a little deeper into Malaysia's unique context, their existing resources and the innovative strategies they're proposing. Because this isn't just about swapping one energy source for another. It's about a carefully calculated balancing act.
Okay, so balancing act, got it. What's that actually look like in practice, though? How is Malaysia planning to make this whole natural gas strategy work? Without totally ditching their green goals in the process.
Yeah, that's where it gets really interesting. The NETR, it outlines these six levers, right? They're like the key tools or
Yeah.
strategies that they're going to use to achieve their energy goals. And it's not just about, just adding more renewables to the mix, though obviously that's part of it. But they're also taking a hard look at, maximizing efficiency and exploring some really innovative technologies.
Okay, yeah. I'm all for efficiency. Sometimes the simplest solutions are the best, right?
Yeah.
Tell me more about these innovative technologies, though. Is that where the natural gas comes in?
Partially, yeah, it is. But first, let's talk energy efficiency, okay? Because Malaysia, they see a ton of potential here. We're talking like retrofitting buildings,
Hmm.
so they use less energy, promoting energy efficient appliances,
Yeah.
and manufacturing processes, even stuff like incentivizing public transportation
Hmm.
and carpooling, that kind of thing.
Right, right.
These seem like small changes. But on a national scale, they can really significantly reduce reliance on energy in general, including, fossil fuels.
Yeah, like that saying, the greenest kilowatt hour is the one you never use.
Okay.
Okay, so smart energy use, lever one. What else?
Well, this is where it gets a little more complicated. Remember, we were talking about blue hydrogen earlier? That's one of their big bets they're planning to use
Yeah.
their existing natural gas infrastructure and their expertise, right, to produce blue hydrogen on a large scale
Okay, so quick recap. Blue hydrogen that's made from natural gas, but
of carbon capture and storage, right?
to like trap the emissions.
Yeah.
So it's like a cleaner version of a less than ideal fuel source.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And here's the key. They see blue hydrogen as like a stepping stone.
Hmm.
The tech for green hydrogen, which uses renewable energy. That's still super expensive. But by developing this blue hydrogen capacity now, it's like they're building a bridge to a future where they can transition to a fully green hydrogen economy once the technology gets cheaper and more readily available.
Makes sense. It's like they're hedging their bets a bit.
Okay.
Investing in a solution for now, right?
Yeah.
But keeping an eye on the long game. Smart. What about the other levers though? Anything else that stands out?
Well, bioenergy is a big one, but it comes with its own challenges.
Oh, right. This is the palm oil thing, right? I know Malaysia is a major producer, but I've also heard a lot about, the environmental concerns there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and you're right to be cautious. The NETR, it acknowledges that they need strict regulations and like ethical sourcing to avoid further deforestation or displacement of local communities. It's a tough balance for sure. But their goal is to find ways to leverage this abundant resource more sustainably. One idea is to really focus on like using the waste products from palm oil production for bioenergy instead of expanding the plantations.
Okay, so it's about being smart and selective, basically.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I have to ask, though, how does all this actually impact the daily lives of everyday Malaysians? Will they see a difference?
Oh, absolutely. This isn't just about, abstract targets. It's about tangible improvements. Think about it.
Yeah.
Energy efficiency. That means lower energy bills for households, for businesses.
Okay, so we've covered the ins and outs of Malaysia's big energy makeover. It's ambitious, it's complex, keeps us guessing for sure. But let's zoom out for a sec, right? Because this deep dive, it's not just about kilowatt hours
Right.
and what color hydrogen we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's about people. It's about how these changes connect to the bigger picture,
Right.
to Malaysia's sustainable development goal.
Exactly, yeah. And it's not just about Malaysia either. These SDGs, they're universal. It's about creating a more just and sustainable future for everyone, everywhere, right? But what I think is so fascinating about Malaysia's approach is how they're taking these big global aspirations and they're making them locally relevant.
Right, right. Like translating these huge ideas into like concrete actions. So give me the specifics. What kind of actions are we talking about?
Well, so for one, Malaysia's SDG roadmap, it really gets into the nitty-gritty of each of these 17 goals, right? And we're talking about setting like measurable targets for things like reducing poverty, improving education and healthcare, promoting gender equality, and even tackling things like mental health and well-being.
Okay, so it's comprehensive, but what really stood out to you? What makes Malaysia's approach unique?
One thing that I found really fascinating was their focus on urban poverty. Now, you might think, right, as the country develops, poverty would,
You increase across the board.
right. But the roadmap, it highlights something different. There's this kind of alarming rise in urban poverty, despite the fact that there's overall progress nationwide.
That's unexpected. What's going on there?
Well, it's complicated, but a lot of times it boils down to the rising cost of living in cities and not enough like affordable housing options. Think about it.
Yeah.
As cities grow, right? And they modernize, the cost of everything just goes up. Rent, transportation, all of it. And so for people in lower income brackets, it's really tough to make ends meet, even if they have a job.
So it's not just about creating jobs, then it's about making sure that those jobs
Yeah.
actually pay a living wage and that people's,
The basic.
needs are met.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why Malaysia's putting so much emphasis on things like, targeted subsidies, affordable housing initiatives, and making sure those social safety nets are strong, particularly in urban areas.
Yeah.
They recognize that there's not a one-size-fits-all approach to this.
Yeah, that makes sense. What else stood out to you?
Well, their approach to mental health is also really interesting. The roadmap, it really acknowledges how big of an impact the COVID-19 pandemic had on people's mental well-being, especially for young people. And they're not just talking about increasing access to mental health services, although of course that's important too, but they're also focusing on like preventative measures.
Yeah.
Things like mental health awareness in schools, workplaces, and then tackling the stigma around it, providing resources for early intervention, that kind of thing.
It's like they're taking a more like holistic approach, right? Not just treating the symptoms, but like
Yeah.
addressing the root causes.
Yeah.
I like that. Any other examples that you found that kind of show this forward-thinking approach?
Yeah, absolutely. Remember those community gardens we were talking about earlier? That initiative, I think, really embodies Malaysia's whole approach to the SDGs. They're encouraging communities to create these gardens, right, on land that isn't being used. And it's not just about, promoting food security and access to fresh produce. It's also about sustainable practices, things like composting, water conservation.
Totally. And green spaces, it brings people together. Maybe even helps to like
Yeah.
build a sense of community, right? Like
Yeah.
resilience. So it's a really elegant solution, tackling multiple things at once. Okay, I'm sold on the what, These are some seriously impressive goals. But what about the how? How?
Yeah.
How is Malaysia
Yeah.
actually gonna make all of this happen?
Yeah, the million-dollar question, right? Well, the roadmap, it lays out these four catalytic policy enablers. Think of them as like the driving force behind, the progress towards the SDGs. And the one that really stood out to me was their focus on strengthening public service and good governance.
Okay, that's important, obviously.
Yeah.
But break it down for me. Why is that particular enabler so crucial?
Well, to achieve these kinds of ambitious goals, right? It takes a real collective effort from all levels of society, You need a government that's transparent, accountable, efficient. You need a system that's free from corruption that puts the needs of its citizens first.
So it's about like
Yeah.
trust and efficiency, really,
Mhm.
which then allows everything else to work.
Yeah, exactly. It's like building a house. You can't have the walls and the roof without a strong foundation.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that brings us back to where we started, right? The
Yeah.
energy, the social programs, the economy, it's all connected.
All ties together. Yeah.
Well, on that note, that's about all the time we have for today's deep dive. We've explored Malaysia's roadmap to a sustainable future. And let me tell you, it is a journey worth watching. As always, thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.